severe heat wave has gripped Europe since the past week, triggering widespread heat alerts in many countries across the continent. Poland will temporarily introduce border controls with Germany and Lithuania over fears of irregular migration.
A new Denmark takes over the reins of the Council of the European Union, faced with the war in Ukraine, American disengagement in Europe, and Washington's threats to seize Greenland.
A severe heat wave has gripped Europe since the past week, triggering widespread heat alerts in many countries across the continent. Portugal, Spain, France and Italy were some of the worst hit countries, with temperatures reaching over 40 degrees Celsius. In Portugal, a red heat warning was issued for 7 out of 18 districts, with temperatures forecast hitting up to 43 degrees Celsius. The 7 districts recorded the highest maximum temperature ever in the country in June. Spain also reached record high temperatures, with Barcelona recording its hottest month of June in a century. The National Weather Service said temperatures are expected to remain high until Thursday. And French Prime Minister François Bayrou said 16 regions are under a red alert in France and 68 others under an orange alert as a severe heat wave gripped much of the country.
Les représentants de Météo France nous ont dit qu'ils pouvaient espérer que les départements en vigilance rouge retrouvent une situation météo plus favorable dans les jours qui viennent.
Meanwhile, in Italy, 2 people have died due to separate heat-related incidents. Rome, where temperatures have consistently stayed above 35 degrees Celsius for a week now, is one of the countries most affected by rising temperatures over the last 50 years.
People in the country of Dolj, southwestern Romania, are struggling to access water as the heat intensifies. With wells dried up, they walk through fields or forests to collect water from springs, carrying it back in jerry cans or barrels. When it rains, they save every drop for household use. Even in better off areas, poor infrastructure means water is only available in limited proportions.
Am pus bidoanele deja în remorcuță și ne pregătim să ne ducem să luăm apă.
In the village of Dascu Dindal, many must fetch water from a distant spring in a field where a town hall drilled source offers only a trickle.
E greu pe canicule, fără apă și bocar de aici pe atâta distanță până acasă încălzești.
All 50 families in the village are going through the same difficulties, with some collecting rainwater as an additional source. Some explain they use it for the chickens or to water the vegetables. City officials say there is no solution for the local residents, but they plan to improve the road leading to the well.
Domnul primar săptămâna viitoare are utilajele pregătite pentru a împrăștia piatră și a face acolo tot terenul să fie ușor de ajuns la puțul nostru.
Other localities, even some in the Danube Valley, are also experiencing the same water supply problems.
Foarte rău. Când pornesc pompa, opresc hidroforul. Când pornesc hidroforul, opresc pompa. Exact Sahara. E sărăcie curată.
According to data from the National Meteorological Administration, 1/3 of Romania is facing drought.
Poland will temporarily introduce border controls with Germany and Lithuania. The country's Prime Minister Donald Tusk said the measures were necessary to reduce the uncontrolled flow of migrants across the border. His government has been under pressure from nationalist opposition parties over irregular migrants being returned to Poland from Germany. The decision comes after new German Chancellor Friedrich Merz made tougher migration policy a pillar of his election campaign in February.
Mit der polnischen Regierung sprechen wir über gemeinsame Kontrollen im jeweiligen Grenzhinterland, also sowohl auf der deutschen Seite wie auch auf der polnischen Seite. Und ich kann hier nur sagen, es gibt sowohl zwischen den Regierungschefs, also zwischen Donald Tusk und mir, als auch zwischen den Innenministern eine sehr enge, sehr kollegiale, freundschaftliche Kooperation, weil wir ein gemeinsames Problem gemeinsam lösen wollen.
Tusk said he had spoken to Merz on several occasions and told him that Poland's patience on the issue was quote-unquote running out.
Russia launched a record 5,438 drones against Ukraine in June, more than in any month since Moscow launched its invasion in February 2022, according to Ukraine's Air Force. The data from Ukraine's Air Force shows that Moscow has significantly intensified its aerial strikes at Ukraine since May, with the drone and missile attacks and bombardments becoming more frequent and more intense. Over the past year and a half, there were only 2 days when Russia did not attack Ukraine with missiles and drones, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha said on Monday. The total number of drones launched in Ukraine in June alone suggests Russia is now capable of launching as many drones in a single night as it did over an entire month in early summer 2024. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in June that in total, Russia has launched around 28,000 Shahed-type drones against Ukraine since early 2022. Both sides in the nearly 3.5-year war have raced to improve drone technology and enhance their use on the battlefield.
Алло. Азимут 338, дальность 7000, высота 490, скорость 118, курсом на 230. Да, дальность уже 7. Огонь! Огонь, говорю! Есть ход! Пропущено! Повторно! Еще раз огонь! Есть огонь!
The European Commission has announced an agreement in principle on a new trade deal with Ukraine. The new agreement replaces the existing temporary post-war framework with a long-term, more modest arrangement. Since 2022, trade between the EU and Ukraine was governed by the Autonomous Trade Measures, or the ATM. They eliminated all tariffs and quotas on Ukrainian agricultural exports to Brussels, offering crucial access to European markets during wartime. The new agreement, however, is less ambitious than the scheme it replaces, which expired earlier this month. The EU's Agriculture Commissioner Christoph Hansen says that it aims to strike the right balance between supporting Kyiv's trade with the bloc while addressing the sensitivities of a number of EU agriculture sectors and related concerns. The ATM has sparked outrage in a number of European countries, particularly France and Poland, as farmers protested the spike in Ukrainian imports. Some of the new key provisions of the deal include greater protection of EU markets, specifically for sensitive products like eggs, sugar, and wheat. Ukraine has also agreed to gradually align its production standards, including animal welfare and the use of pesticides, with those of the EU by 2028. Both sides are now set to work on finalizing technical aspects of the deal. The Commission will then present it to member states and the European Parliament in the coming days.
The iconic Øresund Bridge connecting Denmark and Sweden turned 25 years on Tuesday. It called for an elaborate celebration that was attended by both countries' royals. Every day, an average of over 100,000 passengers travel across the bridge by car or by train. But beyond that, the bridge also represents a symbolic connection of cooperation in the region.
Fast forbindelse. Det skaber velstand og en positiv udvikling i Øresundsregionen, og Øresundsregionen er nok en af verdens stærkest forbundne regioner på tværs af landegränser. Så
arbetsmarknadsregionen växer. Många danska företag vill rekrytera på den svenska sidan. Massor med Malmöbor har plötsligt fått tillgång till en arbetsmarknad som är mycket större än vad den var.
As part of the celebration, Denmark's King Frederik and Queen Mary, as well as Sweden's King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia, met on the Swedish side of the bridge. The royal couple then travelled across the bridge, stopping on the island of Beberholm in the middle of the Øresund, before concluding the ceremony on the Danish side.
Denmark takes over the reins of the Council of the European Union on Tuesday. Faced with the war in Ukraine, American disengagement in Europe, and Washington's threats to seize Greenland, the Scandinavian kingdom has made two profound political U-turns in the space of a few years. Firstly, on defense. Copenhagen has made defense a priority of its presidency and intends to push for the development of defense capabilities. Denmark should therefore be in favor of increased spending. A revolutionary move, given that Denmark has refused to commit to defense cooperation since 1993.
So the sense of urgency which Denmark can convey, given its individual experience of having this 180-degree change from being very critical when it comes to EU in the area of security and defense and now being a frontrunner, gives them an added push when it comes to this issue.
The reverse is also true when it comes to the European budget. Denmark has long been part of the group of member states nicknamed the frugal ones. In other words, the supporters of budgetary orthodoxy. The Danish government no longer intends to oppose an increase in the union's next financial framework.
The categories we've had in the past still exist, so the frugals versus the rest. But the groupings are changing. Who are part of the frugals is changing, and the Danish definitely are now in a group which is not asking how can we spend as less as possible, but how can we best spend at the European level, which might then include also in spending more, so more and smarter.
The Danish presidency is also expected to focus on boosting competitiveness and pursuing the climate transition. However, the program remains first and foremost a roadmap, as the ability of the presidency of the Council to have a profound influence also has its limits.